Welcome to episode 4 of the Will You Be My Friend podcast, but really, it's episode 5 because Bryan McAllister is my first double guest. You heard it right, double guest. He came here to do a live podcast a couple months ago, and I have a bunch of those that I've just been sitting on that I need to edit. Part of that has to do with computer problems, and part of that has to do with discipline problems. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the in-person podcast that we did, and I'm going to put up a double feature. So that'll be episode 4, and then this one will be episode 5. But if you watched episode 4, you already know that. Anyway, this is Will You Be My Friend podcast. Bryan's already my friend, so this is one for free. That's what we'll call it. This episode's for free. Enjoy my conversation with Bryan McAllister. Bryan McAllister, what is up, my dude?
How you doing, man?
Dude, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit.
Absolutely. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking whiskey.
Whiskey, cool.
Whiskey out of a teacup.
I like it. I like your style.
Yeah, these teacups, they're beautiful because they're like, I think they're hand painted. I found 2 identical ones at like a Goodwill once.
Dope.
And like on the bottom it just says China. Or no, it says stoneware made in China. I should look them up and get some more stuff. But anyway, I use this for whiskey, and then I use this for hummus. And those are the only 2 things I use it for.
That was quite the curveball. I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh,
that's good.
Whiskey and hummus. Never tea.
So you consume your hummus by the teacup?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
100%.
Awesome.
Dude.
That's great.
So word on the street is you also have some whiskey.
So I brought multiple whiskeys because we had talked about drinking whiskey today.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy my whiskey. And so I brought one from each of the 4 major whiskey countries.
Whoa.
United States, Japan, Ireland, Scotland. And I figured I'd have you pick since it's your pod.
Hell yeah. I love this.
So I can introduce the whiskeys or you can pick blindly.
I'd rather you introduce them.
Cool. So I brought, you want me to actually show them?
Yeah, let's see some visuals.
So the first one I grabbed just blindly here is from Ireland. Brought some Green Spot, Irish classic.
Beautiful.
Let's see. What's next?
Would you say that one's pretty peaty?
That one is not, because it's an Irish, so it's going to be like very smooth and light and triple distilled and all the rest and nice and beautiful. Yeah. A little more peaty, although not as peaty as I like to get sometimes. The Scottish that I brought is a Bunnahabhain 12.
Whoa.
A recent pickup of mine. I've had it many times before, but
hell yeah,
had to get a bottle for the collection.
Fuck yeah.
My American Balcones. Their single malt expression out of Texas, out of Austin, Texas, I believe.
Very cool.
And brought some Hibiki Harmony here from Japan.
Hell yeah. I'm going to go with the first one, with the Irish one.
Sweet. Some Green Spot. You got
it. Honestly, like, that's your starting place. Like, at the end of this podcast,
we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, you could very well have tasted all 4.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll cheers here in a second. So today is, what is it, day 3 of the Los Angeles lockdown corona quarantine.
Now, is that where you started? Were you on are you on day 3 here? Were you going out before that?
Not really. I have been quarantined for longer, but I like I do, maybe I'm a radical man. I will go out and like skateboard at the basketball court you know,
6 feet away from other people.
yeah, but still maintaining social distance. There was no one there at the basketball court today, so that was cool.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
then like I have this upright bass that needs to get set up, and I was driving it out to the guy to set it up today, and there was a miscommunication, so it ended up not happening. But I was just gonna pull up, and he was gonna grab it out of my car, and then like we weren't gonna like hang out or like touch or anything. So I'm maybe living on the wild side a little bit.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's if your standard for living on the wild side is still a little conservative, that's good. Sounds like
Yeah,
you're still being safe.
I'm definitely like not hugging lots of people. I'm not interacting with basically anyone.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm also not like, I'm not so far on the end of staying inside as much as possible, never going out. Like I go out and run every day.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's another factor. But while I'm running, I'm, you know, maintaining social distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So I don't, mate, call me a wild man. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, well, we'll see how we do here. You know.
I know it's a scary time.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely. I'm not
Right.
licking nearly as many doorknobs as I used to. Not nearly as many.
Yeah, you're gonna have to quit that habit.
Yeah. I mean, for now, temporarily.
For
right?
now, and
Yeah.
then in a year when this blows over,
We'll see. We'll see where we're at then. Yeah.
exactly, dude. Cheers.
Hey, there we go.
Good
Green
to
spot in the
see you.
glass.
Yeah, man.
Likewise, man.
So tell me about your Corona experience, because for me, like 2.5 weeks ago, I wasn't taking it seriously at all.
Yeah, I feel you. 2.5 weeks, probably not as much for me either. I mean, I
Yeah.
knew it was coming,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what to expect, and I knew that it wasn't at our doorstep, you know,
Yeah.
like it is now.
Yeah.
But we've been taking it pretty seriously for a minute. My wife has an urgent care in the same parking lot as her work,
Oh wow.
and they found a couple cases there of
Really?
coronavirus. So it was a little like, oh, it's 70 yards from where you work.
Damn.
But we're in great health, so you know, so far so good. But we both had to go to work until 3 days ago as well. So we were out and about, and I work in a mall, so I was around a bunch of people as safely as I could be, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting. You know, I luckily stocked up on stuff a while ago, so I didn't buy any stores out of toilet paper, but I got enough to survive, you know, for a while and not worry about it. So, you know, we haven't had the concerns that other people have had. We've got probably 2 months of toilet paper and 2 months of food and 2 months of a lot of things. So maybe a month and a half.
You have 2 months of food?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Really?
Just backup stuff, some of it, but yeah, you know, it was like cans of soup and vegetables and stuff.
Wow.
Vegetables.
So are you trying to like not go to the grocery store at all for maybe like a month?
I'd like to go at least a week and a half, you know. There's some stuff that already I wish I had more of, but you know, but we have like, if we had to stay inside for a month, like month and a half, we'd be fine.
Damn.
But you know, but that's worst case for sure. Like we can definitely go out, and we probably will in a week or so and get more stuff, you know. I'm out of ground beef as of tonight, things like that we use a lot of, that I don't want to keep too much of here at one time.
Totally.
I think we have some frozen, but we'll see.
Yeah, 2 months of ground beef. That's
2 months of ground beef we don't have for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, top ramen and you know, canned soup and canned vegetables we're good on for a while. So,
wow, man.
so
And
just try to stock up, you know.
Yeah. Do you have 2 months of whiskey?
I have years of whiskey.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So I'm solid on that. Yeah. I drink very little actually. So so I have probably 25 bottles that are mostly full. So Yeah, probably a few years of whiskey.
Hell yeah. So you've been inside past 3 days. Have you
Yeah.
have you gone for any walks,
Oh
any
yeah.
hikes or
Yeah, yeah.
anything?
We did today.
Cool.
But I mean, I'm at a point where I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll do that stuff as long as it's reasonable, but
Mm,
I'm not looking for, risk really,
yeah,
so I'm okay with a few less of the luxuries that we normally enjoy,
totally.
you know, so
You guys just recently got a dog too, right?
we have two. Yeah.
So
We have two of them. So
you're out there walking the dogs as well?
we got dogs that are specifically like the best dogs you could have to be indoors.
Ah,
And they're like cats almost.
mhm,
And they are pad trained inside, so they don't even go to the bathroom outside,
mm,
and stuff like that. But we like to get them out, when we can. So
mm.
it's not as much of like a necessity hourly or multiple times a day or anything like that. But definitely something that we like to get out and stuff like that when we can.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Wild. How's your family doing with all of this?
they're good. Trying to make sure everyone's safe. And my sister lives
Yeah.
in London, so she's dealing with just a different version of what we're dealing with here.
Mm,
And my parents live in Northern California, but they live out in the middle of the woods, and they have stocked up on stuff and been really smart about things.
mm.
So they're indoors, and they're able to take walks and stuff, but they're not around other people, which is good. So
Yeah,
all hoping everything's good.
totally, man.
Crazy
What
times.
I haven't heard anything about London. Is it?
Yeah, I mean it's 2.0 of the US. I mean
Mm,
they're, I think, a little behind us. And yeah, I mean they have a version of Trump. They have Boris
mm,
Johnson, so
mm.
they're not necessarily any better off. They're just I mean they have socialized medicine and stuff like that, so they're better off in some of those ways. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess in a lot of places. So I don't even know what to say in the next 2 weeks, because I think 2 weeks from now is when things are way worse.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
so we gotta weather the storm a little bit and see where we're at the end of that.
Oh yeah. I don't
You
think
know,
anyone knows how
and
bad
people
it's
say
gonna
two
get.
people say 2 weeks because that's the time for symptoms to show up, the maximum
Mm.
time, give or take. And that's nothing. I mean, we got to be. I think we'll be shelter in place for 2 months, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's what I'm thinking in my mind.
yeah,
And then thinking about like when businesses will open up again, and
yeah,
like I'm thinking that like venues will probably be some of the last.
totally. Anything extra, and
Yeah,
that stuff is not extra in our lives, but it's extra in us going to shows and stuff.
totally.
In the short term, at least.
Yeah, that could very well be 6 months
Totally.
from now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a
Crazy.
scientist. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I feel you.
It's wild. Have you been what like news sources or podcasts or anything have you been trying to get information from?
We're watching CNN and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
in the mornings. I'm more of a fan of like the Young Turks
Mm.
and things like that. And
I don't know what the Young Turks are.
it's like it's just more news stuff, but it's definitely with like a more to the left,
Cool.
you know.
I feel
And
like you've
yeah,
told me about them before. Is it like a YouTube based thing
maybe
also?
they're on YouTube. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And
Cool.
then oh, what's that show called? Um, I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's Amy Goodman
Mm.
and I don't know why it's escaping me because I watch it a lot, but
Oh, you're good.
there's other news sources and stuff, that are not as mainstream,
Yeah.
and trying to keep up with facts and read things on the internet, New York Times and different things like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, I turned it off though,
Yeah.
because I'm not doing anything to help it
Mm.
or to affect it in any way.
Mm.
So I want to know about it, but I also, you know, am in a position of no power with this. So
Totally.
I'm trying to stay up every day, but at a certain point for mental health and everything else, you gotta turn it off. So,
Yeah, there's only so much you can take, especially now that we're isolated in our homes all
totally,
day, every day.
totally. Yeah,
That's wild. What about your wife, Lauren? How's she?
Yeah, she's good. She's kind of a homebody, so I think she's gonna be fine with this whole shelter at home. But we're trying to keep up on family and trying to keep up on the news and stuff. And then we're hanging out, and we're lucky that we have a good relationship because there's a lot of people in this country that are going to be cooped up with their spouses that don't want to be. And we're not that. So we enjoy each other's company quite a bit. So.
Oh yeah, you guys are so cute. I always love hanging out with
we
you
have fun. Yeah. It's good. It's kind of the dream. I mean, like I wish we didn't have to go to work and we could just hang out and be at home all day every day. And right now we are. So it's kind of this weird thing where it's like there's hell outside and heaven inside, and and there's art on. I turn on my TV. I turn on Apple TV and I put on YouTube, and Ben Griffith's playing at a concert in my living room every night, and all these other people are making art, and people are buying things on Bandcamp on Friday, and and all this stuff, and it's like this beautiful thing. And then outside, that's coming from, that's the effect of a different cause that is horrible. So it's weird, uncharted territory. I feel like at least in our generation and our in many generations. So.
Yeah, I feel like for the modern era, this is maybe the first of its kind. I mean,
and not the last.
That's the thing, man. That's what I keep thinking about.
Not the last,
dude. That's what I keep thinking about.
Yeah, it's definitely changing my view of some things in life.
Like what?
Because I'm going to be better prepared for this stuff in the future,
dude.
As best as you can be, just with like having stuff stocked up and because it's coming again. I mean, it has to.
Please.
I just don't see a way where it doesn't.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that like wants to take some survival classes or something and like figure out how to live in the woods if I need to.
Totally.
Because the thing is like the coronavirus is not extremely fatal. But I heard the scientists talking about how like the avian flu was 60% fatality.
Yeah.
But it
wasn't as contagious.
Yeah, it had a much more difficult time jumping. But if we concocted something, either intentionally or accidentally, that was just as contagious as corona, but killed 60% of the people that got it, I mean, that would incite absolute mayhem. And at that point, it's like, I'm probably going to get out of town. Where am I going to go?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. You could drive to the woods and get to the woods and see everybody else there. In one of those moments. So I'm
like
it's definitely
Games.
Yeah, for real. Someone on Twitter today made a map of the US that's like divided into different numbers of different like factions for Hunger Games. Just as a joke.
Like
they're like, what number are you in? We're in District 1, by the way.
Oh my god,
so,
we would be District 1.
And my parents are in, I think, like 4. And I was like, tough luck, Mom and Dad.
Damn. Dude, that's so heavy. But it's like,
of course, one would get wiped out. I mean, think about Angelinos.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. But it's like, we watch these shows like The Walking Dead, and like all these movies and narratives they've had of like plagues and shit.
Totally.
And we're like kind of living it real life right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, as real as any of us would want to get.
Totally.
Because if it was real, like some of those movies, we're not sitting here talking.
No, that's not a time for podcasts.
But I feel you, because it definitely feels like you're in a movie or something like that. It's unreal, Yeah. And really, for something that we didn't see coming, some people should have seen it coming further in advance, and they did, and they're evil, and they didn't tell us, and they didn't prepare for it because they sold their stock instead and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, for something that was not on our radar 2 months ago, it's intense, affecting everyone's lives.
Yeah, man. When this popped up, like I felt about it like how I heard about N1H1 or like whatever else. Like I was just like, oh, okay, that's some sickness that I probably don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And now it's
notice that came out of America, out of American beef. H1N1 came from America, and we didn't call it the American virus.
Huh. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We call it H1N1. We didn't talk about it as much. Of course it didn't, wasn't as contagious as this. And although I think a large number of people were affected by it, but the death rates were way smaller. But it's interesting how the source of the virus is coming into play these days with the way it's being talked about.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people frustrated with people talking about it come from China. I myself haven't heard many of those people like making fun of it in a Chinese sort of a way. But I'm also like I really don't listen to like too many news sources. Like
well, to me it's as simple as it has a name.
Yeah.
It has two names, really, kind of three. It's coronavirus.
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
SARS SARS-CoV-2 is the other name that's less used.
Yeah.
None of those speak to where it came from because it doesn't really matter where it came from.
Totally.
But when we have someone in the White House that's crossing out the name coronavirus on his notes and writing Chinese virus above it, that's an intentional move, certainly.
Totally.
And when we take negative things and that are affecting the whole country, the whole earth, and we wrap them in these words, intentionally to create division. It doesn't matter what you're talking about with, whether it's good or bad, or, you're not blaming China actively, it's, I don't know. It's unnecessary and it's divisive.
No, I hear you. I'm ignorant to that. Did Trump do that? Is that
there's a picture of his notes from one of his press conferences where he has crossed out the word coronavirus, which is in print, and written above it Chinese virus to make sure he says Chinese virus.
Oh, so he was
he's going out of his way every time he refers to it. He refers to it as the Chinese virus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is completely unnecessary, and there are Chinese Americans that are suffering for that. There are Chinese people globally that are suffering for that, when they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's really seems to be part of, I don't know. I don't understand Donald Trump as an individual. I could see how him, shifting the blame on another party makes him
it's his MO.
Yeah, totally. Totally, 100%. Crazy, man.
Yeah, definitely crazy. Yeah. And now we have 4 senators that have it.
Do we really?
Heard about that? We have 4 senators that are quarantining right now. One of them has tested positive. I don't know if the other ones have tested or if they've gotten results back yet, but there's reason to believe that they were in contact with the other one. So, it's an interesting time. We're going to see. We could talk again in 2 weeks, and I think we would say, man, we didn't see all this stuff coming 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I think it's going to be that. And not to be an alarmist about it, just to be real about it. I personally think that's where it's going. but we'll see. I hope not.
I hope that that we've acted quickly enough to mitigate a lot of the like hospital override. Like hopefully we've acted quicker
I
than
hope so.
Italy did.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but I hope so. We'll see.
Man.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
totally crazy.
So where do like most of the people that you're talking to, friends and family, how are they falling on the spectrum of taking this seriously or maybe not taking it as seriously?
My family 100% on the side of taking it very seriously and being overly cautious and stuff. But there are things that we have to do that, require some risk, and we're just trying to be very smart about them. But
totally.
Yeah, we're lucky in that regard, I would say. I don't have any family or very many friends or very many close friends that are doing anything, overly risky or anything like that.
Nothing like the Floridians.
That's why this is going to be worse than people think. Is people like that and people in Venice too. District 1 Hunger Games. I'm looking at you. People in Venice playing basketball. Things like that. Like it's just there should not be 20 people on a basketball court.
Totally.
Between the ones watching and the ones playing. Like that's I just it's not that much of a priority. It can't be. If LeBron can sit at home, and yes, he's got a home gym, but if he can sit at home and lift his weights and stuff, those other guys can avoid playing basketball for a few days.
Yeah, man. It has been really cool to see like all the Instagram like stay at home kind of content. Like my Instagram account, I don't know if me and you have ever talked about how like into skateboarding I've gotten over the past like couple months or year or so.
No.
But basically my whole feed is just skateboarding shit.
Skateboard?
And then like music, but like I'll go on the explore page or whatever, and literally every single one of my suggested videos is like skateboard stuff. So now it's a bunch of people like skating in their homes. So people will like jump down the stairs of their house and like, all this stuff. It's wild.
I like rules. I like in creativity. I like rules and art,
Totally.
And if this is a different rule that we have to abide by for a few months or however long, let's make the most of it. And you see people doing that all the time. That's part of the whole, this whole thing we have going on where it's hellish outside and it's beautiful inside, where we have all this art being made and different things like that. It's just, it's a different rule that people have to follow. It's like when you're in music school and someone says, play this tune, but in your solo you have to do this, or you have to do that, or in the way that you play this tune you have to do this. It's not, you don't have to do that every time for the rest of your life, but for the sake of an exercise or something like that, when you add on a particular rule, you get changed results. And we're in a time where there's a rule that all of us have to follow, which is that we pretty much have to stay indoors and away from other people. And here we are. Never have I video chatted on a podcast before. And here we are. And this is day 3. So we'll see where we're going with this stuff. I saw this coming. I knew that things were going to shut down. And a lot of people saw this coming. I'm not saying it like that, but we knew this was coming, but we didn't know when. And I really quickly last week went on guitarcenter.com.
Okay.
And I had a little discount code, and I got a cheap mandolin. A starter kit, and bought it's a case and a mandolin and some instruction books and stuff like that. And then on Amazon I ordered some picks and a strap and stuff like that. And ordered all the stuff, and I crossed my fingers that it would arrive to the Guitar Center by my work before they shut down, and it did. And I was able to pick it up probably the last day that they were open, second to last day, because 2 days later was the first day of quarantine. And it was one of those things that I was like, now is my chance. Now is my chance to do something that I've wanted to do for years. Not mandolin? Like Yeah, I mean, not
Wow.
like a huge priority for me, but it's definitely been something that I've like dreamed of doing
Mhm.
because I like bluegrass music and I like Chris Thile and I like other stuff like that. And I played violin for 20 plus years, and it's the same fingerings and stuff for the
Mhm.
most part.
Yeah.
Um, and so I bought this mandolin, and it's like it's not. I'm not practicing it with a sense of urgency or pressure
Mm.
of like, oh, I have to perform this in a week or something like that, because I'm not going to do that anytime soon.
Mm.
But I get the luxury of sitting at home and having something that I can interact with when I want to
Mm.
and learn when I want to, but I don't have the urgency or the pressure of I don't know, of society, I guess, in the sense that, I could say, hey, I'm learning this instrument to my friends if I want to, whatever, and I can use resources, and I can, you know, um, I can spend this time working, but it's kind of an incubation period where I'm not going to go out and no one's going to hear me, no one's going to see me play.
Mm.
I can just learn it and work on things and not have to worry about what other people are going to think of it for
Totally.
now.
Totally.
And it's really changing the way I practice. And
Mm.
it's, I'm really focused on technical things and other things like that, and not driving my wife crazy ideally. And and I'm learning. I learned a bluegrass tune somewhat. I still have to work on it, of course, but
Mm.
I've memorized it already, and working on a Bach cello suite
Hell
and
yeah.
stuff like that, because I need to work on my picking, because that's the part of violin that I didn't get. So
Mm.
my picking hand is horrendous, and
Mm.
my left hand sounds really good because I
Hell
have
yeah.
all those fingerings.
And the frets help.
But the frets definitely help. But it's the same exact thing as violin. So it's like I
Totally.
was surprised at how close it was.
Fuck yeah.
I knew that the strings were tuned the same and things like that, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised that like the distances are so similar
Well,
and things like that. So
it is the exact same.
it's the exact same, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but I still wondered if with frets and things like that,
Totally.
maybe the shapes would just be more spread out or closer together or different things like that. But it's all the same. I mean, I sat down
Totally.
and could immediately play it,
Hell
but
yeah.
my picking is horrendous. It's
Mm.
just absolute garbage because I cannot play guitar instruments at all.
Mhm.
But I'm working on that, and it's a cool thing to get to work on it. And it's one of those things where it's like I want to make art,
Yeah.
but there's a new rule, and the new rule is I can't go outside very much, and I can't commune with others in person. You
Mm.
know, and so what can I do to further my art and further myself
Yeah.
and to keep creating things and all this. Now what I need to do is step up my game with what I'm putting out into the world.
Mm.
But for now, at least I'm working on things that I'm doing, not, I want to say internally, that's not really the word I'm looking for, but,
Mhm.
but what I'm doing inside my home by myself privately, that's a better word.
Totally.
Um, at least that, for now.
Yeah.
And something I want to introduce this week is I want to start doing more interactive stuff on Instagram,
Hell yeah.
things like that. So I'm working on that right now. I talked to some friends about some different options for that. So we're gonna do some interactive stuff this week on Instagram. So that'll be cool.
Hell
But
yeah. Yeah,
but
you were
you know,
telling me about that. I'm super
yeah,
into the drawing
yeah.
thing.
I'm gonna do like one a day. I think maybe at like 6 p.m. or something like that. We're gonna do
Is
like a group activity.
is it gonna be like a live thing that people can tune in?
Yeah,
Is
I'm
that the
still working
idea?
out the kinks on that, but yeah, maybe
Cool.
on Zoom, maybe on something else. We'll see.
Fuck yeah.
But it'll be based through Instagram, like announcements will be there and stuff.
So
Because I like
fun.
the idea of everyone having individual stories that they can post too. So,
Oh, so it's not like a live,
oh, it
like
will be,
everyone doing it at
but
the same
but
time?
then you can submit things with your story or different things like that, so people can go to each other's
Cool.
and see. So, and then I think I'm going to make a separate Instagram account for it so that people can tag that Instagram account, and I can put all the stories in one place.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So we'll figure it out, but working on that. It's just adapting to a new rule, and I love it
Yeah.
personally. Not to open the can of worms that is Enneagram stuff that we talked about so much last time, but but that's me, man. I love rules. I love order. I love like, what can I do to, we have this new rule, like, let me follow it to the ends of the earth, and what can I do within that.
Mm,
And so to me, it's like, if I had the opportunity to play a concert in person, I wouldn't want to do it at this point, because
mhm.
I want to explore this for a while. I want to explore
Totally.
shelter at home, all that stuff.
Mm.
So it's cool. So you can choose to be excited by it. You can choose to make the most of it.
Totally, man. Like, so many of my friends are, creative and fairly introverted.
Hmm.
And like, when I've talked to most of my friends, it's like we have this moment where we go over like how horrible this coronavirus is. And then we start like smiling a little bit and we're like, but really? Like,
Yeah,
staying
yeah,
home for a while
yeah,
is going to be pretty dope. Like, we're all going to make some cool stuff. We're all
totally.
practicing like a bunch. The
Yeah,
thing that I am most excited about, which again, it still feels horrible to say that I'm excited about something because of this crisis, but the thing that I'm most excited about is having a very strict bedtime and wake up time.
uh-huh.
It's one of the things that one just like puts my brain in like a very healthy state of being, and it makes me so much happier, and I just like wake up feeling refreshed. So
Nice.
since Tuesday, so I guess I've been like 6 days now. It's
Yeah,
been sleep at 11 p.m., up at 7 a.m.,
nice.
and I'm like in heaven.
See, and I'm the type that I'm in bed by 3 a.m. and
Yeah.
I'm up at 9 a.m. still.
Oh, damn.
So,
That's rough,
but
dude.
hey, it works for me. But that's
Cool.
awesome, man. That's really cool. And of course,
Yeah.
and the reason you're saying it feels horrible is because we both recognize the privilege that we have in all these statements. I mean, we
Totally.
have houses, and we have, we may have financial struggles, but they're nothing compared to the struggles of a bunch of other people around the globe,
Yeah,
with
man.
all, especially in light of all this stuff, but even without all this stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so I feel you on all that, but you know, and we can do what we can to help those situations, but we can also, utilize our privilege and utilize the opportunities we have, and that's definitely something I try and, balance, staying aware of all that, and trying to do good and help, and at the same time, when I'm in a moment of privilege,
Mm.
utilizing it when that's not a morally unacceptable thing to do.
Absolutely, man. Because at the end of the day, like, us feeling guilty about the things that we have isn't going to help anyone.
Yeah,
But if we take advantage of this time and the things we have to become better artists and
yeah.
to release things that are healing and positive,
Hmm.
um, then that's the service that we can provide.
Yeah, I like to I definitely don't live by this, because I'm not perfect in this by any means, but I try to feel guilt only when it will lead me to action. You
Mm,
know, definitely try to use that to help me, be a better person in the world. When I do
mm.
feel guilt and other feelings like that. Um, but it's an imperfect action is better than a perfect inaction. You know,
100%, man.
so
Dude, that's wild. Did you come up with that, or did you pick that up
absolutely not.
somewhere?
Absolutely not. I've seen it around, yeah, but
I
it's something that really
only
rings true with me.
Well, that's wild because I'll find myself a lot of times just getting in these mental spirals of bad decisions that I've made years ago and when I was young, and I've been trying to think of different ways to like get myself out of those mental spirals. So this whole paradigm of like only feeling guilt when it'll lead me to act on something, that's significant.
I try and, I want to use it as fuel, if anything. You don't want to be buried by it, but if you can, if your guilt can inspire you your empathy should inspire you to help others. But if your guilt can help in the action category,
Totally.
then, definitely not the worst thing, you know. So
yeah. So are you saying that when you feel guilt for things that you have no capacity to like act on, then you do
hmm
your best to quell that guilt or get over
well,
it in some way?
I want to reflect on it, you know, and I always am trying to up my game with action,
Mm,
you know. So it's like, why do I feel guilty or whatever I feel for being, a white artist that plays black music,
mm,
or uh, a man in a male-dominated, art form and art community,
mm,
or different things like that. And really, the question I wind up asking is, what am I doing about that?
mm.
Right. The answer, unfortunately, is not enough always. But I'm trying my best to be more active and be more, you know, moving things forward positively, using that privilege, using those opportunities, not just for myself but for others. You
Mm.
know, so I think if guilt can be a reminder to act or an inspiration to act,
Yeah.
um, I have the empathetic capacity to do what I can to help others, and I try and I have that empathy as fuel, certainly, but sometimes when privilege is comfortable
Mm.
and inaction seems easy, guilt, if I am feeling it in the moment and I can use it as a reminder to to act, that's definitely something I want to use and not ignore, or not get over immediately. Again, it's an impossible thing to talk about, because at the same time I don't want to be so surrounded by guilt and bogged down by it that I can't do anything. I feel like
Totally.
that's a big issue for people, and it has been for me in the past. But if I can use it as a reminder to myself that there are things I can do to act on, to
Totally.
help, then it's something I want to do.
Yeah.
My problem is that phrase that I used is a good reminder for me, because I don't act enough.
Mm.
I'm so focused on acting perfectly that I don't act often enough. But definitely something I'm working on.
Yeah, man. Perfection is a funny thing. I have this sinking feeling that it doesn't actually exist.
Oh, it doesn't. Take it from an extreme perfectionist. It does not exist.
And I
It
think
doesn't stop me from wanting it, but
I think if perfection did exist, we'd find something imperfect about it.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the first imperfect thing about it is that it's perfect.
Uh,
You know what I mean? Have you ever heard a perfect recording?
it's the worst.
The worst. I wholeheartedly agree with that, and yet I still want nothing but perfection. It's
Uh,
horrible. It's just part of my DNA. I don't know. You know,
mm,
we talked about it on the last ep. You know,
it's true. You're my
yeah,
first guest back, dude.
dude, I'm honored. Happy to be
You're
back.
double feature.
Double feature. This is
Bryan
good.
McAllister.
That's me.
I wonder if I have enough time tomorrow morning actually to just edit both. It would be cool to just put out both
Hey,
the
cool.
same day.
Yeah.
Get the double
I
Brian
keep
treatment.
referencing the previous one, so now the cat will be out of the bag that there was one before this. But
Yeah, it's true. I have been vocal about there being ones before, but I'm not taking this podcast so seriously, like thinking that like a
that's good.
ton of people are gonna listen to it.
Oh, for sure.
For me, it's like um for me it's primarily the time that I get to spend talking to other people is like so valuable because
Absolutely.
one, I'm actually developing and deepening friendships. And then two, I'm learning shit. Like you're talking about um, only feeling guilt when it drives you to act. Like that's a huge thing that I can
Aspiring
do
to
on.
that.
Totally. So for me it's like there's so many personal things that I get out of hosting a podcast that like even if 0 people listen to any of the episodes, it's still completely worth my time and
100%.
my energy to do it.
Yeah.
And but like having a podcast, it makes it like an event. Like it's not just like hey Brian, like you want to hop on video chat for an hour tomorrow? It's like, hey, like you want to be on this podcast. It's like there's a little more incentive for people
Yeah.
to be on it and to
Absolutely.
hang out with me, basically.
Totally.
But then it's also like that long game. Like I'm a fairly avid listener to like Joe Rogan's podcast, and
Gotcha.
he's been doing it for 10 years, you
Mhm.
know. So it's like, can I see myself doing this for 10 years?
Yeah.
And you know, barring another plague, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so fun to have these long form conversations with people, whether it's someone like you who I feel like I know pretty
Mhm.
well, or if it's someone that I've never talked to before.
Yeah.
um, it's a very it's a very fruitful time.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's awesome. And it's action. It's exactly what
Mm,
we're talking about. It's
mm.
action. We talked about action in terms of social justice, but I mean, just more generally, the whole idea of imperfect action over perfect inaction. It's imperfect action, and that's exactly what it should be.
Totally.
That's fantastic. That's cool. It's inspiring, and it's definitely something that we could all do more of.
Hell yeah.
Good for you for doing it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks. No, yeah, like
Really cool.
I know you and I have talked a lot about you feeling uncomfortable posting things about your music,
Oh
posting
yeah.
your physical representation
Oh,
specifically.
I the
And it
the
makes
number
me
one thing the number one thing I'm afraid of at this moment in time is you posting these episodes tomorrow. But I want you to do it because I don't want you to do it. You know what I mean?
but it like
So,
honestly, like as your friend,
hmm
but then also as a fan of your music, someone who has your record in my car right now,
I appreciate that.
um, it makes me bummed out that that is a factor in your decision making. Because when I see your face on my Instagram story, I'm pumped.
Thank you, man.
I'm like, hell yeah, here's Brian doing his thing.
It bums me out
Mm,
too. It's definitely. I feel that I have things to say
mm,
and things to contribute,
yeah,
and then it comes to actually putting it out there.
yeah,
And I'll say these things in the comfort of my own home all the time, and I'll think these things, or I'll make these artifacts, or I'll do whatever I'm
totally.
doing. Um, I have music out in the world that is not under my name,
Mm.
that is on Bandcamp and things like that under other names,
Like
and
secret
just
names?
it's like yeah,
Whoa,
that I've never shown anybody. My wife has never heard them
whoa,
and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't like my representation out there because I am self-conscious about that stuff, and it's all stupid and it's ego based and things like that. I don't want anybody. I'm so afraid of a negative comment um, that I will keep things away from others that I want to share.
mm,
And I know that 90% of the comments would be positive or more,
mm.
but the one comment would get me so badly that I would be, you know, so hurt by it. So it's a stupid thing that I'm really working on trying to get over. And part of me, I very seriously considered just being like you may see me one day on Instagram or somewhere else just be like, here's everything personal and gross about me and everything about me that no one would ever you would never want to tell anybody about. Those things about me, I'm here, they are, because here's everything. Because I part of me says the way to get over it is to just put everything out there.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, I mean, part of me is just like, maybe that's the solution. Like,
Uh,
rip this proverbial Band-Aid off. But I don't know. I mean, part of me is inches away from that, and a part of me is like, well, maybe I can like put this thing out, and then I'll see how that goes, and then I'll put this thing. Maybe that's my way, baby steps. And part of me is like, no, just do it all, So I've been back and forth my whole life. I really have, So, but it's it's something that I'm working on. It's the other part of it is that I've gained weight over the years after I lost a bunch of weight and got a bunch of nice compliments about all this weight that I lost. And then, years later I'm back at this high weight, and I think about all the positive comments I got, and I think, oh man, well, I won't hear those negative comments, but people are going to think them. So if I don't show my face, if I don't show my body, then no one will know any wiser. And then they'll see me somewhere, and then I'll still be afraid to show anything because I'm like, well, maybe if I don't post it, they'll forget that I'm some fat ass. And it's like, totally, I don't care. I don't judge other people for their weight. And I trust the people that I care about. The people that who have opinions that I care about, I know won't care. But I still have a mental block. So it's something I've thought a lot about, and something that I, continue to struggle with, but, continue to work on. So.
Dude, weight shit is so tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And other stuff too. I mean, like, it's not just that, but it's like, it's a lot of that and a lot of other stuff too, but it's like, yeah, it is tough. And everyone deals with stuff, if it's not that, then it's something else.
Well, yeah, the one thing that you could take a lot of comfort in, like talking about those kinds of things on the internet, is that most people hate the way they look.
Yeah.
So it would be very relatable for most people.
Yeah.
Hear you talk about your relationship with your body.
Yeah.
I mean, in my own way, I've fluctuated like 60, 70 pounds since I was like 15 or something, always going up and going down. And I've had periods of my life where I was like fasting and running marathons and losing all this weight and then gaining it back and whatever else. And I've been a part of like support groups for like trying to eat less and all that shit.
100%.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. I actually just today started reading a new book on nutrition stuff.
Yeah.
There's this guy, Jared Trimpey or Jason Trimpey. I don't remember if I'm saying this correctly, but he wrote this book called Rational Recovery.
Interesting.
And Rational Recovery is a response to Alcoholics Anonymous, where Alcoholics Anonymous largely says you have a disease and there's no cure for this disease, but your higher power can help you abstain.
Yeah.
Rational Recovery says your disease is basically a really, really bad habit, but you're in control, and you can use rational thinking to get over your bad habit. So him and his wife put out, so the Rational Recovery is like the main book, but then him and his wife put out this book called Taming the Feast Beast, which is a tacky name. But I just started reading it today.
Yeah, cool.
They inspired this other girl, I forget her name, but she wrote this book called Brain Over Binge, which she had struggled with binge eating like her whole life. And I listened to that audiobook, and her audiobook like blew my mind.
Cool.
So I've been like trying to check out these different things, but
awesome.
It's so relatable, man. Like
totally. Yeah. I fully understand that, like, the things I have to comment about are true to others.
Totally. Yeah.
But I don't want to admit that I have those problems.
I hear you.
Because this ego doesn't want to be lumped in with everybody else.
I hear
so
you.
I think on some level it's that. I mean, I really do. I think it's, and I empathize with other people about that stuff.
Mm.
But when it comes to what am I going to put out into the world, I get so defensive of my brand or whatever, however you want to say it. Although I don't think in those terms. That's definitely a way you could say it.
Yeah.
That I, don't want to admit that I have those issues.
Yeah.
Or that I have those concerns or anything else. And it's so funny that I have these other issues stemming from that, the issue that I can't put out more stuff because I can't convince myself that it's okay to put out more stuff. And that bleeds into my songwriting and stuff too, where I will start writing a tune and I'll get 3/4 of the way into it. And then I'm like, let me scrap the whole thing because every idea that I have is horrible. Oh, you wrote an F chord? Everyone in the history of music has played an F chord. So you're trash for doing that. And it's like, what? Like if someone told me that, if a student talked to me like that, I'd be like, you have a problem. You need to get over that. Like that's silly. There are great pieces of music that have that chord or use that note, or like it'll even be that. It'll be like, I can't believe you're, I started writing something the other day, and then one of the things that I went to was like a 2/5, but it was just I was writing like a non-jazz tune. It was didn't have extensions. It didn't sound like jazz at all.
Yeah.
It was literally a root 2 going to a root 5. And I was like, what are you doing, you stupid idiot? Like everyone has done that. That's such a trope. Like you should create something unique and different. And it's all garbage. I understand intellectually that all those emotional thoughts are garbage, but I have them. And so, it's something I have to contend with. And it's something I work on all the time. And it's been 10 plus years of working on that stuff.
Yeah.
Artistically at least, of course that comes even further back because I grew up not thinking that, being told that other genres of music were not as valid as classical music. I grew up with that kind of background. So I think, there's layers there, and, without getting too psychological about it, I understand that I have some demons that other people don't have, the mainstream doesn't have. But other people have those things, some of them. And then other ones that are present in everyone. Everyone has self-doubt when they write. Everyone has concerns about image. Everyone has different things like that. Some people, don't think they're allowed to write non-classical music pieces, and others don't have that issue because of the way they were raised. But a lot of my concerns with putting out art into the world have to do with things that everyone deals with. I just have it in a way that like really, really locks me up with putting stuff out. But, again, it's something that I'm really trying to work on and, deal with every day. So
yeah,
still
man.
working on it, trying to make the best of quarantine, man. No one can hurt me if I'm stuck in my house all day long. So maybe it's the perfect time to put out stuff, You can judge me all you want, but you're stuck in your house too. So,
Well, and this is a question coming from a podcast host, but it's also coming from a friend of yours who knows you fairly well. Do you think that you're more afraid of people actually judging you, or do you think it really is just the conversation happening in your mind?
Oh, I think most of it is in my mind.
Yeah.
But realistically, if I put something out there and 200 people see it on my Instagram story, someone is going to judge me in some ways. My problem is that if you asked me like intellectually, I don't care. If you're going to judge me on stupid crap, like I don't care about your opinion anyway. Right? But emotionally, and when I'm in the moment of making that art, whatever it is, that's when I have this issue of like suddenly caring for some stupid reason. And I've tried a lot of methods and nothing has clicked yet, but I think it's going to come. I really do. And when it comes, man, watch out, because I have a lot of stuff to put out. But
well, all I can say, man, is that My life would be better if I was ingesting your content on a regular basis.
I appreciate that.
And I
Maybe
mean
that's
that.
a good reason for me to put stuff out.
And I mean that. Like, even if you can just put it out, like, for Eric Davis, like, put it out and be like, even if one person hates this, even if 400 people hate this, I know Eric wants to see this.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing too, is I have so many friends that put so much stuff out, and I am their number one cheerleader. I really love when people put stuff out. I listen to stuff all the time. I try and buy friends stuff on Bandcamp. I try and really support. I love being a part of the community. I love that people that I know make art that impacts my life regularly. I take everything so seriously with that. I really, if you put something out and you post about it, I'm going to go listen to it. I'm going to go give it my time.
Yeah.
I'm going to go give it all of my energy. I'm going to put my phone down when I listen to it. I'm going to focus on it, and I'm going to take it in, and I'm going to think positive things about it every time. Even if it's not for me, I'm going to be like, yes, good on you for putting things out. And that must be something that's important to you. And that's really cool. And yet I don't give people the benefit of the doubt that that's what they're going to think about my stuff. But I hear you. I mean, and that's maybe something that will inspire me to put more stuff out is the idea that, you know, if someone actually feels that way, then, you know, maybe one person impacting one person is worth putting out all the stuff that you don't want to put out necessarily. You know? I know that there are artists out there that if they put anything out, I will be so happy to consume that, you know, that anything that they do, even if it's like their worst stuff, I'm like, yes, please, thank you, you know? And so that's a huge thing. So, you know, I appreciate the supportive words and something I got to remind myself about for sure.
Totally. Have you also ever thought about just going the complete other direction and like wearing a mask and like a costume and like take on a persona?
That's what this Bandcamp music is, man. I have a Mellotron album.
Hell yeah.
It's on Bandcamp. I'm not going to tell you the name of it.
You're not? Really?
No. Because it's for me.
No.
I know.
The people want to know.
That's too bad.
So talk me through the psychology of putting a record on Bandcamp, but then telling no one
that was
the name.
That was me trying to work on putting things out. I said to myself, I'm gonna force myself to put this out, but the compromise is going to be that I'm going to tell no one and do like that. But at least it's going to be out there. And maybe that gets me a step closer to feeling more comfortable with this stuff. So it was an experiment, and you know, I've done little things like that here and there. But, and some of it's ridiculous, man. I like recorded a piece I love by this guy Jez Waldo, this composer from the Renaissance era, who wrote these songs, and he wrote this piece, and it's really cool. And it's really harmonically interesting and way ahead of its time, like 200 years ahead of its time. Wow. And he's just this brilliant composer who also killed his wife, so that's interesting. But that's a story for another time. But but Jez Waldo, she was sleeping with some other guy. He killed them both. He killed them both, and then the police let him go because they liked his music so much.
Wait, where and when was this?
Jez Waldo in the Renaissance era. I don't remember the exact dates. I could find more information for you, for sure. But something I used to lecture about. But fascinating. But Jez Waldo is amazing, super amazing, genius artist. And I took this Jez Waldo piece and I recorded it, all the individual parts, so I could kind of get into the individual parts a little more, just for practice. I had already recorded it MIDI, so I just cleaned it up a little bit on Logic, and I made all the instruments be like this horrible saxophone patch, and then I detuned them all by a few cents in different directions, and I put it on the internet, and it's on my let's see, it's so funny because that's on my SoundCloud.
Oh wow!
Under my name.
Yeah.
But the album of music that I wrote seriously is on Bandcamp under someone else's name.
Huh.
So it's just a thing where it's like sometimes it's easy for me to put stuff out if it's something that I know that the audience won't take as seriously. But if it's something that's personal and serious, then I'm like, mortified by the prospect of someone listening to it and judging it. Because it's mine, it's me. I don't want people to judge that. It's sacred. It's mine. It's sacred to me, sacred internally.
Yeah.
So.
But I think there's room for that. Like not everything sacred needs to be on the internet and in just
For sure.
I think of like Emily Dickinson, right? Like most of her work, and I could be getting the name wrong, but Emily Dickinson was a poet, right? Okay, she most of her work was found like posthumously, right? Like
I think so. That rings a bell.
I think I could be totally wrong. I don't know my American poets as well as I should, but operating under the assumption that that's the case.
Yeah,
she wrote all that shit, and that was for her. And it doesn't.
I think that's beautiful too.
Yeah, that's okay. I think,
but
I have.
Would she have done that in 2020?
Yeah, it is a different time.
I really love social media. I hate it, but I love it. But I really love talking about rules, talking about the quarantine being a rule, and art having to be made with that rule in mind or around that rule.
Yeah.
If social media is a rule of our time and music is devalued monetarily and all this other crap, okay. Like we can't change that. So what can we do? We can work towards, better things. And I definitely don't think we should not do that. But generally speaking, we live in 2020. Napster has happened. LimeWire has happened. Yeah. Different things have happened that have affected the way that people consume art today and value art today. And with that in mind, great. Let's use social media as one of those rules, on some level. So I'm fascinated by that stuff. Part of me wants to interact on Instagram all day, every day, and be on there. And I don't have aspirations to be an influencer or make makeup tutorials or anything that a lot of people do that is really popular in the mainstream right now. But artistically speaking, like I would love to have 10,000 followers and for the sake of having people to interact with all the time.
Yeah.
And be able to post a story and have a poll and have people answer it and then do different things, do different activities and make art and make performance art out of this different medium that hasn't been explored that thoroughly in the history of, the United States or humankind or anything else. Really this social media age is so short compared to, other previous eras.
Yes.
But I think we should be talking about it as its own era. I think it's that widespread.
It is significantly different.
That I want to explore all that stuff, but I have this deep-seated fear. So I rarely post an Instagram story. I rarely show my face, or I rarely do this, that, and the other. And it's dog pictures only. But part of me is like, oh, let me do this 10 hours a day because all I want to do is make art of different kinds with different people and interact with different people artistically. And, that's fascinating to me. Yeah. When I was living in Reno, I did performance art quite a bit. And it was really cool, but it was offline, And so to marry the two things would be fascinating to me.
What kind of performance art were you doing?
I did different things. We did some like crazy concerts. I did some stuff with like recreating a movie theater and like doing a live performance with the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, like kind of rescoring it with
familiar
for piano and tape and performing it live. And we did we made a birthday party for 3 famous people and we
I remember
did
that
different
one.
stuff like that. Different things. I was about to do one in April during the Reno Jazz Festival. I was going to go up there and be an adjudicator because art isn't art unless you judge it.
Yes.
So I was going to go be an adjudicator for that festival, and while I was up there, I wanted to do this midnight concert. And I was going to perform some music, and I was going to have some other friends, guests, perform some music. And then we were going to end the night by singing 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. But I wanted to sing the whole thing.
Yeah.
At a not fast tempo. And do like a 30-minute performance of 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. And that festival got canceled, as everything in the world did. And so I recorded it on MIDI on Logic or on my keyboard or something, and I looped it and I worked out the melody exactly how the different numbers go as far as syllables, and then put it on SoundCloud and linked it on my Instagram for a couple of days, and like 2 people commented on it. And that's cool, like that's fine with me. I just like doing weird shit, man, and I like exploring stuff, and one of the exploration there to me is time, with performance. And I'm sure those 2 people that commented on it didn't listen to the whole thing, but the idea of someone sitting there and listening to it wound up being like 20 minutes, listening to a 20-minute recording of MIDI saxophone or whatever playing 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall is fascinating to me. Like, especially in an age where every piece of art ever is accessible, with a Google search. Someone spending their time on that is fascinating to me, and that being out there is fascinating to me, and making that is fascinating to me. And I don't know. So I'm I want to explore those things, but there's definitely something personal that I have to get over with that stuff. So that's been an issue.
Do you have a game plan of how to?
I don't. I mean, it's like it's going to have to be a fundamental change in myself in some way. I really have to work on it. So I'm really like very really I'm trying to get over it while I'm essentially under house arrest here. stuck in this apartment. So hopefully you'll see more of me soon, because I'm definitely thinking about stuff, and I want to put some mandolin stuff out there, even though I don't know how to play it. And I want to put some other stuff out there. And I wrote a tune the other day that I'm starting to finally feel like I have a direction with some of the music I'm writing again. Project to project, that stuff comes and goes, but felt good. Felt like it was a step in the right direction. So, we'll see.
Hell yeah, dude.
Got to put stuff out there. Got to go live. I'm pretty happy with this setup. I feel like I look pretty clear and I'm well lit. It looks like.
Dude,
Actually, it might be the whiskey.
You got yourself a light.
I got a light. Yeah, I bought a ring light. So what more do I need? So now the thing this is the perfectionist in me, is that I took these glasses off so you wouldn't see the rings there.
I think that's a good move.
I do too. Yeah.
I have a lamp here with some tissue paper diffuser.
Nice. Yeah.
So here it is, like a little closer to me. I think it's a little too washed out.
Yeah.
I think I might get a thicker diffuser, like a piece of paper maybe.
Yeah. Cool.
And use that. I could also maybe that's not doing anything. But
this ring light was like $15 on Amazon. It's very unethically made. And I'm supporting a horrible company, but it definitely was. I had to do it for a job interview that I had to do. Like I had to record a pre-interview video. Yeah. For like a management job for Target, actually, for something for a Target tech.
Yeah, I remember.
And so I had to do a pre-interview for that, and so I bought this ring light, and then now have it for other stuff. But I'm happy with how it looks. So maybe I need to go on Instagram, just hey guys, and do some stuff. Do some.
100% should, dude.
Maybe I will. Maybe tomorrow is the day. Maybe I go on Instagram live tomorrow.
I was telling you, dude, whenever I see your face on my phone, I get stoked.
I can just send you a picture, man. Your life will be that much better.
I would be stoked if you sent me a picture of your face every day.
Like that? Yeah.
I would be super stoked.
You got it. You're gonna really regret that in a few days.
Not at all. I would never regret that. Just
Sounds
know
good.
that I am gonna repost it to my Instagram. So
if you do that, you're gonna get so many pictures just for the walls. That's amazing. That's
have
so good.
I'm sure I've talked to you about this guy, but have I talked to you about this guy, Stephen Pressfield?
The name absolutely sounds familiar.
He wrote this book called The War of Art.
The War of Art. That sounds less familiar.
Tell
me about that.
I'm sure I've told you about it because I've told everybody about it, but it's basically this. It's the best self-help book for artists that I've ever encountered.
I do remember this. We might have talked about it on the first episode. Did we talk about that? Maybe.
I think because I talked to everybody about it, so I'm sure.
Cool. Tell me more about it.
I mean, it's it's just the most important book I've ever read. It's no big deal, whatever.
So I'm purchasing that tomorrow.
No,
reading it. I will be on it. I'm serious. And this is the thing: is I don't think other people will take the things I say seriously, but you say something like that, and I will. I will have read that book in 2 weeks.
Well, I believe it. When you told me that you listened to that one song for like
an hour.
2 hours.
Yeah. Hour and a half, whatever it was. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Totally. Hey, but, and that is for real.
Yeah, I believe it.
On a loop. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way I do things. But I don't always think that other people are gonna, be as serious about the things I say. But I take you seriously. So
Thanks.
So for you, what did this book aid you in?
Okay, so this book, he personifies resistance. And resistance is anything that keeps the artist from working on their art. And that can be anything from like what you're talking about, like the fear of being seen and being judged. Yeah. But it could also be like the coronavirus, like the thought in our head, like, oh,
yes,
it's going to shit. Yeah. I might as well not work on something.
100%.
Or maybe like for me, like I was like super stoked to play with you for my release show. And then you got sick. And
I got really sick.
You got like crazy sick.
I was so sad because I was like, this is me going out there and making art like I want to be doing. It wasn't a being afraid to show my face thing, because that's in person, it's a little different. But I was so upset, man, because when you don't make a lot of art and then you have an opportunity to make something and then you can't make it, resistance. Resistance, that's the words you use?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. No, I'm like, from my perspective, like there was this quick thought in my head, like, oh, like I was planning on playing with Bryan and now Bryan can't play and I might as well just not play either. Like those kinds of thoughts where like we justify not finishing things.
Totally. Looking for that excuse not to do something.
Exactly. Yeah. So 100%. He calls it resistance. And I've read this book probably 10 times. I read it like every morning because the little chapters are like 1 page each.
Beautiful.
So it's like super digestible.
Yeah.
But there's that. And then there's also, I've started a small group for like finishing art projects.
Which before we were locked down, I told myself next Tuesday night I have off, which is rare for me. I want to come to that group. Yeah, and I was going to message you about that once I had a Tuesday off, but I haven't had one. And now I have Tuesdays off and we can't be in person.
Well, we've been doing it online.
I want to be there.
Yeah. So if you want to,
I want to be in the next one.
Tuesday, 100%. Like no pressure to.
For real. No, absolutely.
But it's been really cool. Like this week will be our 11th week meeting.
That's so awesome.
And
see, I didn't know about this till 3 weeks ago.
Well, I didn't post about it publicly, really.
Gotcha.
Like I was kind of, I made some Instagram posts in the beginning of January on my story. Like,
gotcha.
Hey, I'm thinking of starting this. Is anyone interested? And a couple people reached out. But I didn't make like a formal, like, hey, this is something that I've started until like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like whenever you posted something more recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I first heard about it. And then I was like, this is perfect. Because that's what I need. I need to finish stuff and I need to put it out in the world.
Dude, that's the thing, man, is like, I mean, everyone struggles with it, but I feel
Yeah.
like especially artists, like it's so easy for us to start things, and
Mhm.
then just finishing, man, can be the
Totally.
hardest part.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's it. I have so much unfinished work on my computer. I
Yeah.
have albums worth of unfinished work on my computer. And
Yeah.
if I just sat down and finished it, I would have so much stuff to show the world.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, so
Gotta do it.
the um the small group is basically, it's all surrounded around weekly to-do lists.
Cool.
And everyone comes up with their own to-do list. Like
Mhm.
there's no dogma, there's no principles, there's no like group focus. It's literally like everyone is completely independent and responsible for their own shit.
Cool.
And so the idea is that if you're a part of it every week, you're always talking about how last week went and about
Mhm.
this next to-do list that you're gonna do.
Cool.
So there's 3 sections. We do like 10 minutes of group meditation up front, and
Cool.
then we have timed shares where everyone has about 7 minutes to just like talk about whatever they want, and like
Mhm.
no one is gonna interrupt you or try and give you advice during that time. Like you just literally get to share.
Cool.
And then the third part is like actually writing the to-do lists. And then when we were meeting in person, we came up with this idea where we would have a blank canvas, like a literal canvas. And
Mhm.
if you got your to-do list done for that week, you could make a single brushstroke on that canvas. So then months from now, it would be this like abstract painting.
Collection of all these accomplished goals.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So now that we're online, I'm like
Yeah.
still figuring out the virtual version of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
That's
basically
cool.
the group. It's been really
That's
cool.
awesome. How many people in the group
So there's been like
on average?
four or
Cool.
five others
Yeah.
that have been like super consistent.
Are they
And
all singer-songwriters?
no, there's a poet,
Cool.
and then there's a bass player. Actually, do you know Juan Rodriguez?
I don't.
Yeah, I think he started CSUN after
Decent
I
guy? Cool.
graduated. Which
Cool.
that's the same story with us. I think you had graduated before I started.
Yeah. I graduated the year before you started, I think. And then
Totally.
I was on ships, so I didn't meet you right away either.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember the
What was that like? You started in probably like what, 2013, 14?
God, I think.
One of those.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it would have been 14.
I stopped ships in 14. So it must
Yeah.
have been, yeah.
Yeah, because I graduated 16. So
Okay.
I must
Okay.
have
So maybe
graduated
you
14.
didn't start right away then. You started a year after I was gone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
around the time I was getting back to LA and stuff.
totally.
Yeah. Cool.
Totally.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it'll be cool
Yeah.
for you to check it out.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We talked about definitions last time we talked
Mm-hmm.
of like who we are, identities,
Yeah.
right? You said there's a bass player and a poet. Where do you fit in? What do you call yourself?
I think the thing that I'm concerned with is songwriting.
Songwriting? You're a songwriter?
Yeah, I think that is the skill that I try and orient all of my other practicing around. And that's the
Gotcha.
thing that I'm really trying to get at. And
Hmm.
I'm really trying to leave my mark on the world, I guess, would be like songs that I've written.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
What about yourself, man?
I don't know.
What are
Still
you
working on it. Still working on it. I don't know, man. I really don't.
I called you a piano player once and you got offended.
I didn't get offended. I just corrected you.
You're like, I'm a musician.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just true.
yeah, it's true. And I play the piano,
Mm-hmm.
I do that. I don't identify as that,
Mm.
but I don't identify, I don't know. I think if I was putting more stuff out, I'd have more clarity.
Mm.
but to me, it's a mess. I mean, I write poetry, and I've been trying to write song lyrics recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I write other stuff, and I wrote a play once, and short stories, and play piano, and now trying to play mandolin and play violin and viola.
Yeah.
Not that I'm great at any of this stuff. I'm not saying it like, oh, look at all this stuff I can do, but like, I don't know where I fit in. You know, I truly don't know. I don't have a sense of identity with any of that necessarily.
You don't feel identified to the piano at all?
Oh, I mean, not as me. You know, it's the thing that people call me to do, the service that people call me to do the most.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a hat salesman 40 hours a week, and I'm a piano player a couple hours a week. So, you know, which one am I? You know,
Well,
people call me
yeah,
to do that more than they do piano. You know, so, but
well,
I don't identify as that either necessarily. You know,
time is one metric that
yeah.
we can measure these things by.
Oh, certainly. And I'm not suggesting that my hat salesmanship is my actual identity.
Yeah.
I just, you know, it does, you know, it definitely, it has changed for me over the years, you know, my perspective on all that. But I'm just curious with you, because I don't know. I mean, you have extensive jazz training, and you play in, you know, bands, and you write your own music, and you know, do this and that. I was wondering where you thought you fit in, because I don't know that we talked about that very much last time.
Totally. No, yeah, I think for me it's songwriting. I've over the past year and a half, I've really worked very hard on trying to sing better. Like singing is something that I've just really had to work for. And then now with being on quarantine, also I'd just like to take a moment to say that in the past 20 seconds it started raining like a lot harder.
See, we had the rain
raining
earlier.
over there?
It's raining, and it's a lot, but
Yeah.
it was even more earlier, and it's probably up at you now. You know.
Yeah. It's so nice. I love it when it rains
Oh
here.
yeah, definitely.
But anyway, with the quarantine, I have been practicing a lot more like guitar nerdy specific stuff. Like I was like practicing altered scale today, like stupid.
Cool. That's
nerdy shit.
kind of what I'm loving about mandolin right now, is like when I practice piano these days, I don't know that I'm practicing the way I used to. And I'm not like really getting like heavy on technicalities and technical stuff. And I don't know, I'm trying to work through music that I have to play, or I'm trying to write music, or I'm using it as a tool more than I'm practicing it as an instrument.
Yeah.
But with mandolin, it's like you have to, if you're starting from scratch, you have to start with technical stuff. So it's like, it's kind of refreshing to be like, oh yeah, like let me work on these scales, and like let me work on getting into position and stuff like that. I don't know enough about the mandolin community yet to know if they refer to it as like third position, fifth position, things like that. But like that's what it is on violin, and I know how to get there, but it definitely takes work on a mandolin, you know. So it's definitely something interesting to me and refreshing to me to like kind of explore. So maybe, you know, it sounds like you're doing the same kind of stuff where you're kind of reapproaching some stuff. And that's been an exciting thing for me. And, you know, the quarantine thing, maybe a silver lining for sure.
Yeah, man. There are upsides to it. The economic devastation
Yeah.
that our country and our state and our city is about to experience, I have no idea how we're gonna get through this, man.
Absolutely. I'm out of a job. My wife is out of a job. I filed for unemployment. You know, we'll see what happens, but
Now,
yeah.
the fine print on unemployment,
Yeah.
like you are not able to work, but they would have a job for you if you were able to work. So do you
Yes.
qualify for unemployment?
Because of this, I read some stuff, and they are making exceptions, or it is an exception already, but
Interesting.
essentially, yeah, it's like a natural disaster type of situation where you can file for unemployment even though you have a job waiting for you, but you're unable to work right now. So I'm as a full-time employee, I'm owed at least 32 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's what's guaranteed to me in being a full-time employee, and they're not able to give me that now. They're giving me 0 hours a week. So I can file for unemployment, and I did, and we'll see. We'll see what's next. My rent is paid for April, and my rent is paid for May because I paid first and last when I moved in here, and our lease is up after May. But if we are still on lockdown, we're gonna go back up to Northern California and wait it out there until we have jobs back down here again, and then we'll find a place and move in. But
wow,
we don't have rent money after that, so I have a free place to stay. That's privilege that we were talking about earlier. A free place to stay in Northern California. So we're gonna go stay up there and pack all the stuff in some boxes and put them in our cars and drive up there.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's pretty crazy, but we're not there yet. So we're just kind of waiting it out, see what goes on.
It's wild, man. Would you consider
Totally.
any sort of like I don't know, I guess the options are like we could work at Costco.
Yes, and I've thought about that stuff.
We could
totally. There's jobs. There's definitely stuff.
I mean, like not enough for everyone.
No, but there's stuff out there that people are currently hiring for stuff. One of my employees is working at Costco now. He's getting more hours than he did at my store. So good for him. But and he'll probably stay there when this is over because I'm sure he's good at that stuff, and we didn't have a lot of hours for him anyway. But good for him. But I'm not there yet because I have money, and Lauren's getting paid for 2 more weeks.
Oh, great.
From her company, so she gets 2 weeks pay. So we're using that, and we're going to wait things out for a couple weeks. If in a few weeks we feel like this is going to be super long, and we feel like we're going to make the push to stay here, then I'll go find a job. In the meantime, if I can find some work online, definitely going to explore that some more. But it's looking like even if I did go get another job, we'd have to move up to Northern California in the short term if this goes on into June. I don't foresee it being so such a lockdown necessarily at this point through all of May. We'll see. But we're kind of playing it week by week.
Totally.
And right now it's like, I don't, even if I started working now at Costco, I don't know that I would be in a place. I don't think the result would be the same. Or let me rephrase that. I think the result would be the same at the end of May. Would be if we're still locked down, we'd be moving, and if we're not, we're not. So, so we're kind of riding it out right now.
Yeah, I know you guys are. You're looking to move anyway. Like
we are going to move if we can. Yeah,
it's kind of horrendous.
It's great right now because they're not doing street sweeping and we're not going anywhere. So I haven't moved my car in 5 days. It's great. So,
dude, your parking situation,
it's so bad.
Gives me such a headache.
Yeah.
It's
I have felt feelings I've literally never felt in my life, other than driving around in circles looking for a parking spot for 2.5 hours at 3 a.m.
God damn. Dude.
It's absolutely horrendous. And that's on the city, and they need to do more for the people living here, but it's bad. So,
Yeah. Wild. Yep. I wonder if the lockdown does continue that long, I wonder if it would kind of be like the perfect time to look for a new spot.
My other thought, but I don't know that we would have the seed money, we'd have a deposit ready.
I hear you.
Depending, we'll see, we'll see where our finances are and stuff, but
yeah,
it's like if we get 2 more weeks of pay and our rent is already paid here, we can survive on the food we have and the money that's coming in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And,
if all else is paid,
yeah,
we can pay our bills. We can, but it's not a ton. So we'll see.
Wild.
Yeah, but it's cool. We'll be fine either way. We have some, again, we're steeped in privilege. Like we'll be fine. We have families that'll look out for us, and we have free places to live up there, and and different things like that. So we'll get through it, and we'll come back down here because this is where we want to be. But,
hell yeah.
It's just a matter of when things return to normal a little bit. I have a good paying job waiting for me. So does Lauren. So we definitely wouldn't pass those up and stay up north.
Yeah.
But if we had to move up for a month or so, we'd make it work.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah. So
not at all.
We don't have a lot of stuff that we would have to move. So, I could rent a small U-Haul and be fine. So
yeah, totally.
We'll figure it out.
Dude, there's just there's got to be millions of people, that have. That
is why I think we're just playing it week by week, because it's just, now's the moment that people are figuring out that we actually have to take care of the working class and not just screw them over constantly.
Totally.
In moments like this, we have a responsibility as a country to take care of our poorest and our least cared for. And it's something that we try and ignore week to week. We have all these homeless people, and we have all these people that are underserved and underpaid and different things like that. And now all of a sudden that stuff's not sustainable. All those jobs that were considered, we don't need a working wage. We don't need a living wage for those people because that job is unskilled labor. And then all of a sudden we're relying on those people in this moment of kind of societal dismay, or disarray, I guess, where suddenly the grocery store clerks are so much higher in value to us as a society than they were weeks ago, when people were saying, they don't deserve $15 an hour, they don't deserve a living wage, they don't deserve this, that, and the other. By the way, $15 an hour is not enough that's not a living wage in Los Angeles.
Totally.
But even then people were saying they don't deserve that. And now we're going, thank God they're here. Thank God we have these grocery clerks to serve us our, I need to get my quinoa for my stay at home. It's like, shut up. Like, if you're pulling six figures and you got to get your quinoa from Whole Foods, but you don't think that worker who's selling it to you deserves health care or a living wage, it's absolute crap. I just think it's totally, and I hope it's a wake-up call for people. I hope it's a moment where people are reflecting on that. I don't know that everyone will. I know that everyone won't. That not everyone will. But I hope that some do. I hope it's a shift a little bit. I'm optimistic in that way.
Yeah, man.
We'll see. But we're waiting it out. We're waiting to see what happens. There's got to be something.
I hope so. I hope that there's some sort of a way that people are not evicted from their homes.
We are so above the margin. We're so privileged in that way. We're so in a better situation than so many people that I just don't see a situation where things get so bad that even we are in a position of anything. I think there would be riots in the streets before that.
I'm kind of surprised that there haven't been any crazy riots yet, man. And I feel like part of the reason is because this pandemic is like, it's a faceless enemy, where it's not.
And yet every day there's a face on our TVs that is not doing enough to solve these problems, and is not walking down the country, which needs to happen. So I don't know. I agree. It's the silent enemy, or whatever, the invisible enemy, as they keep saying.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens, man. I don't know that it's going to go to that, but I think there's got to be some change, some relief for the working class. I think it's coming. I mean, it's got to, because it's just not going to be sustainable for people. People will die in their homes of hunger.
Wow.
Really, we will lose people to other things because of this than just coronavirus if we're not taking care of our people. And if all these people are out of work, I'm privileged. I'm choosing not to work at this point because I have a job waiting for me. And they told me April 19th, I'm going to get my job back, and we'll see about that. I don't believe it.
That's what they said.
30 days. Yeah. But I don't see it. I think it's going to be way longer than that. But, I'm waiting things out, and I have money in the bank, and I have privilege. But there are a lot of people that don't, and they have decisions to make.
The thing that you have in your favor is that the store that you work at is relatively small.
Yes.
So maybe.
Oh, I'm number 2 in the store. So if anybody's getting hours, I'm getting hours.
Well, not just that, but from like a societal illness standpoint, like.
Oh yeah.
Like of the stores that open. Yeah. It's possible that your store might open before your wife's workplace opens.
My counter to that is that we're in a mall.
There's that too.
Really large mall.
There's that.
So, although I could not believe we stayed open as late as we did. I closed the store the night that we closed, and it's like I was standing there all day going, "What am I doing here? We should be closed." I sold $500 worth of hats. Like, not a lot.
What is that in comparison to like
my goal for the day was $5,000.
Oh wow! So you did 1/10.
Yeah. Yeah, our traffic was down about 80 to 90% in the last week.
Wow.
And it's like, why are we open? And everyone's coming in masks, and they're.
Wow.
I don't know what they're doing shopping, but that's why we have a lockdown now. It's because those people couldn't figure it out and stay home in the first place.
Yeah.
But it's totally non-essential.
Yeah.
I love hats. I really like wearing hats, but they're not essential or anything close to it. So I just, I don't know. We'll see. But I would be surprised if we're open in April 19th.
Yeah, man, I don't know what to think. Like, I guess an ideal scenario is that we've locked down so well that we've kind of nipped it in the bud, and
we might have, but other states, that's the problem. It's not national.
Yeah, I hear you.
There are people spring breaking in Florida right now. It's bonkers. It's totally nuts. And so this is the thing I'm trying to remind myself of, is our bubble is totally locked down right now. White West Coast intellectual liberal, privileged people are totally, holed up in their apartments and their houses with white wine and art on TV.
Yeah.
But that is not everybody. And I'm really concerned. I think on April 19th, the prospect of businesses opening back up will be unfathomable. I really don't think anybody will be surprised in the slightest if things stay closed on April 19th, because unfortunately, I think that everything's going to look very different then. If it's anything like Italy, we're going to be in a position where, the bodies are stacking up, and it's really unfortunate, but.
God damn. A couple factors I've heard about Italy is that, one, their population has a much higher concentration of older folk.
Yes, 100%.
Than ours does. And then the other thing that I've heard about Italy is that their family units, like in houses, are much more likely to be multi-generational in Italy than here.
And when they greet each other, they kiss each other on the cheeks and things like that. Totally. But every other number has rivaled Italy. We've just been about 10 days behind it. And about 48 hours ago, we were hearing about people putting bodies out on the street in sheets because the National Guard, or whatever version of that they have there, was going to go take them away because they were just carting off the bodies because there were that many of them. Damn. And we're a bigger country, and our numbers have rivaled Italy statistically, and I don't know. I mean, I hate to be a downer, but I really
I hear
Of
you.
course, I hope that all this stuff is not true, and until we see it, I will keep hoping that. Um, but it seems to me like things are going to get way worse before they get better, and I'm just kind of trying to remind myself of that, only to brace myself for it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, have you, not to be dark, but have you thought about, like, what am I going to do if I lose a family member over this?
Well, I have resolved. Like, I'm not seeing my parents right now.
Yeah, me either.
So like my parents are, not to out my parents' age, but they're over 60, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was video chatting them a couple days ago, and they were like, "Oh, like come home, stay with us during this time." And I was like, "No, I'm fine here. Like this is my life. I want to stay here." And they're like, "Okay, well, like you can visit us whenever. Like we'd rather get corona and see our son than like not see our son."
My parents give me the same thing. Yeah.
And I was just like, no, like I
Freaking way.
don't want to risk it. Like,
Absolutely.
it's like it's another thing to drop off my bass at the luthier's house, who is close to my age and has a wife. And I had an extensive conversation with him about like, hey man, is it cool if I drop this bass off? Like totally, like, let's talk about it. There's a difference between that and then possibly, getting my parents sick because of the whole,
Totally.
some people are asymptomatic.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's
100%.
no way to know if I'm in that category.
Totally.
So I have resolved, I mean, at this point, I'm not seeing anyone, but before the lockdown, I was resolved to not interact with anyone that would be at risk.
Totally.
And my brother battled Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer for a couple of years. So he's
totally at risk.
He's totally at risk. Yeah. He's how old is he? I think he's late 30s, early 40s at this point.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I definitely, and I don't have grandparents around anymore. And my aunts and uncles are a little bit distant. I haven't seen them in a very long time. But I really hope my parents don't get it.
Yeah, I feel you. It's definitely something I've been thinking about. It's just like, there's a chance that us or someone we know will lose a family member and not see them again.
Totally. 100%.
And being aware of that stuff and bracing for it is kind of what I'm talking about when I talk about all these grim statistics and stuff like that. It's just like, you got to be prepared a little bit emotionally, for all that. And then if, I'm sleeping at night still, I'm sleeping at night and I'm not a mess over here, but it's like definitely, something I haven't not thought about, because we have at-risk people in our family, not a lot. I have a small family, but my wife has people too in her family that are at risk, and, we'll see. But, we're trying to spread information and, check in on people and stuff. I think that's a beautiful thing that's been happening. People checking in on each other. I get messages all the time from people that are just like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, how's everything? You guys good? That's cool, man. You don't get that on a random Tuesday,
It's this wild thing where everyone in the world right now, everyone in our world, and then everyone in the world is experiencing this thing where a friend of mine was telling me this earlier, and I totally agreed with him. You can literally pick up the phone and call anyone you've ever met and just be like, hey, how are you doing?
And they're home.
Yeah.
They're home.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
I've been using it, man. I've sent more messages on Instagram and Facebook and things like that in the last 2 days, 3 days than I had in the previous 3 months, and it's just checking in with people, not overdoing it, but, just trying to, take everyone's temperature figuratively, not literally. And, and I think it's a cool thing, man. Our lives are defined by the people that we spend them with, So I think that's a huge I think that's a huge thing to realize.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a time that people realize it that weren't already realizing it,
Mm.
or a reminder for some people,
Yeah.
which is why it's cool that you're doing this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the positive feedback.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think it's super cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love putting on podcasts while
Yeah.
I'm cooking,
Totally.
driving, or whatever else. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not doing much driving these days, but
Yeah.
it like makes me feel like I'm hanging out with my friends
Totally.
without the social pressure of like having to actually interact or whatever else.
Totally.
And that's what I hope this podcast can be for someone else listening, is just like a little bit of comfort, a little bit
Totally.
of hangout time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 That's super cool. And like you said earlier, if one person is positively affected by it,
Mm.
that's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Dude, one of the like I mean, some people might think this is a dark thought, maybe some people wouldn't. But one of the things I'm thinking is like, all right, technology is getting better. And maybe the outside world is getting less inhabitable
Yeah.
with the factors of like global warming. And then now, like, if let's say this plague happens once every 2 years,
Yeah.
once a year, whatever,
Yeah.
like how much more of an argument for like VR and virtual reality.
This whole, I mean, we're already seeing positive change in cities that were ravaged by pollution and things like that. Have you seen this?
What? I don't know what you mean by positive change.
Go on Twitter and
Okay.
look up what's going on in Venice, Italy right now with their canals, with their wildlife. There are deer on the streets of Tokyo.
Really?
There are fish in the canals that you can see. I don't know if you've ever been to Venice. When I was there, yeah.
Oh no, I've never.
When
been
I was
to
there,
Italy.
when I was there, it was smelly and the canals looked dirty. And the city was absolutely ravaged by pollution from all the tourism that's coming into town, cruise ships docking there and things like that.
Yeah.
And you can see the bottom of the freaking water. You can see the bottom of the canals.
Yeah.
From above the water, and it's like nothing Venice has seen in decades.
Wow.
And it happened in 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, from people not being there, in the last few weeks of the lockdown, it has been amazing the amount of change that's happened for the better for these pollution ravaged cities. And it's not just Venice, but like, wow. So maybe we ought to do this once a year. Maybe every March. Maybe every March we just hang out in our houses. It's crazy.
It is a very interesting, like I hope that, okay, there are gonna be some people that sit in front of their TV and watch. Have you heard of the show Love Island?
Yes. Yeah.
This girl that I've been like hanging out with, like kind of dating.
She's into it.
She's like watches the show, and I'd never heard about it before. But anyway, there's going to be people who sit in front of their TV and watch Love Island and eat Cheetos for 3 months.
Yeah.
But there are going to be some people that really take this time to look deep inside of themselves and to have a sort of a reprioritization and a spiritual awakening.
Absolutely.
It would be really interesting if we did just make it a part of our culture, like, okay, like economics, like buy, sell, that's going to stop every March. And for a month, we're just going to, we're just going to take care of ourselves.
I hear you 100%. Yeah.
That would be wild.
I mean, and I don't know enough to know that anything would be lasting with these positive changes, but it just tells me that maybe this is not the worst thing for the earth, and maybe we should focus more on those things if we can see if we can have something to point to that's tangible. Look at this picture of the canals in Venice, and look at all this change. maybe that's enough to inspire some people further with global warming efforts and different things like that. Because man, we fuck up a lot of stuff in this world.
Yeah,
We humans, and if that stuff is going to be benefiting from us being in our houses,
mm.
you know, internet is a pretty endless resource that we have, but some other things are not.
It's wild,
So,
man. Like right now, in
yeah,
my mind, I'm sitting in the same room with you having a conversation.
totally.
Like
Yeah,
I'm fully engaged,
100%. Me too.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
feel you.
I don't know, like we're not that far away from being able to just hang out in the internet all the time.
And if we knew this was a thing that we could end at the end, if it wasn't for a virus,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to hugging a lot of my friends. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That physical part aside, I'm with you 100% on the connection and the wonders of the internet. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But if we had something, a period of time more regularly where we stayed away from certain things, we polluted less, and if we could incorporate that in day-to-day life, of course that's even better. But
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, and we're just on the precipice of some bigger discoveries, I think, through all this, hopefully.
I definitely think that this is going to be like the world is never going to be the same after this.
I feel that way too. I want to see, I don't have faith in everyone, but I do think there will be some lasting change.
Yeah.
I think this is a major moment in human history.
Hell
really,
yeah.
in modern human history,
Yeah. So for you as an individual, let's say this lock-in, let's say, I don't know, May 15th,
Sure.
it goes back to business.
About 60 days. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you want to have remembered this time? Like, what would you like to accomplish in these next 60 days?
I need to write more music.
Cool.
I need to work on some of my issues with posting stuff. That's definitely been something that I've been wanting to do for years, but when you have a day-to-day schedule, it's easy to sweep under the rug. But this is maybe forcing me away from sweeping it under the rug a little bit. And there are other little things, but artistically, that's where my mind goes. I get a bunch of time with my wife, which I love that time, so that's great. I'll take as much of that as I can always, so we definitely are people that just want to be around each other all the time. So which other couples are not, and that's great too, if that works for them, but for us it's definitely if I can be 24 hours with my wife in a row, that's fantastic. And if that happens 60 days in a row, that's even better, so that's amazing. And then artistic growth and change, and using again this kind of idea of this being a rule that we have to observe in our art, using that to guide me to some new art and some new forms of ways of expressing and new expressions. I think that's big. And then not dying is always nice.
That would be nice.
I'd like to not lose family members and friends. I'm prepared emotionally as much as I can be for some stuff, but we'll see. Man, that's where my head's at with all this. I've been thinking about this every day. What can I do with my time? What can I do with this opportunity? If I can reframe it as an opportunity instead of a reality that I am forced, that is forced on me. What can I do with it? And then the mandolin stuff fitting into all those categories.
Hell yeah.
Because that's a big one. I would love to supercharge my mandolin learning, progress very quickly with it, because I have so much time to focus and practice. And
are there any mandolin players that you're talking to?
No. I mean, I have a couple friends that play mandolin, but first few days, I'm 3 days into learning mandolin. I mean, I've only been playing since Thursday.
Yeah.
So and really Friday. So so I'm at a point now where I haven't picked their brains yet. You know what I mean? I talked to them at first. I said, "Hey, I got a mandolin. I'm gonna play mandolin," and they're like, "Cool." But I'm gonna get there for sure because I want to use those resources. But right now, I'm at a point where I'm just like, I need to work on playing 4 quarter notes evenly in a row, down, up, down, up, down. You know, my up and down picking is horrendous. All I want to do is down picking the whole time. So,
well, that's the rock and roll in you, bro.
Yeah. So
the one tip I could give you without looking at anything, so like, let's say like this is the string.
Yeah.
Or actually, I could just grab my mandolin. It's right there.
Oh, sweet.
One of the things that I see, like a lot of my beginner students with the pick, is like a lot of people will want to pick completely perpendicular to the string.
Yeah.
But you want to put a little bit of an angle like this
on the front end.
Yeah. Have you been?
If you think of it,
have you been playing around with that?
I haven't been playing around with that. I will play around with that.
Yeah. So most people
awesome.
want to. Yeah, you want to do it like this. So then your downstroke and then your upstroke, the same.
The
way.
evenness has been my issue.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because my upstrokes are so accented.
You don't. You actually, and this is a personal opinion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Metal guitar players would disagree with what I'm about to say. But what I was going to say is that you don't actually want them to be perfectly even, because it's much more musical that they're not even.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I just
want to be able to do any of that. You know what I mean? I hear Chris Thiele play. I hear some other people play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, you could do anything with the instrument. You have mastered the instrument.
Totally.
If I asked you to play 4 quarter notes evenly, you can play them evenly. If unevenly, you can do it unevenly. So my real focus right now, although you of course have to learn in steps and learn certain skills first and other ones later and different things like that. But my real focus has been like, in the long term, I want to master this instrument. I want to be able to do anything on it.
Hell yeah.
And play classical music on it and play bluegrass on it and play, other stuff on it and,
Hell yeah.
So, yeah. But thanks for the tip, man. That's huge. I want to explore that now. As soon as we're done chatting, I'm going to go grab the mandolin and play some more, even though my fingers are in so much pain because I don't have calluses yet.
Dude,
working on it.
So I regularly play guitar. I regularly play my upright bass, which is like a new couple months in for me, kind of a thing.
For sure. But enough for calluses.
Enough for calluses.
Yeah.
The mandolin is still the most painful instrument for me. Yeah.
I feel you. Because I've played enough guitar and enough bass to know what that pain is like.
Yeah.
And this is something else.
It's the next level.
It hurts. So I'll like do little tasks around the house and I won't even be using my fingertip and I'll be like, oh, this hurts so much.
Yeah, man.
So that's so funny to hear you say that. Yeah.
100%, dude.
What about your quarantine goals?
Well,
or
I'm trying to do this podcast every day.
Beautiful.
And we'll see if that happens. I think it's feasible.
I have one for you.
Please.
Can I get you a guest or two?
Oh, please.
That you've never met?
Are you kidding me? I'd love that.
Can I like set you up on a blind date?
No, yeah, that's the eventual idea with this podcast.
Cool.
Is that it's called "Will You Be My Friend?"
Yeah.
Because ideally, I'm talking to strangers that I admire, and then at the end of this conversation, I ask them if they want to be my friend or not.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm super down.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Super, super down.
But I want to introduce you to people.
Oh, please, please do.
Cool.
I might get to the point where I'm doing like 2 or 3 a day.
Beautiful.
But probably not. That would be way too much.
That would be a lot.
I feel like now, because like half of my brain was like, do you know what the PCT is? It's
no.
the Pacific Coast Trail, and it's a trail.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it is that abbreviation, but yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, cool.
half of my brain was like, oh, this would be the perfect time to go do the PCT.
Cool.
And then half of my brain was like, or I could hunker down here and like experience what it's like to be like, you know, in the plague and work on these things that I want to work on. So I feel like you know, going live with the podcast now and trying to put out as many episodes as possible without like you know, Zoom isn't going to be, this isn't the highest quality like video and audio that you could possibly have, but just getting as much of it out, like everyone's at home watching stuff.
Totally.
And like all of my heroes, like the people that I want to have on the podcast and pick their brain or whatever, like they're at home right now, like chilling. So like I'm hoping that in 2 weeks and 3 weeks I can start like once I'm in a flow of things, like I hope I can start like asking, you know, some people that I look up to that I've never met before, just be like, hey, like, do you want to?
That's beautiful. That's cool.
Hang out for a bit? Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's great, man.
But so the podcast is one which you know because you were on. We did a live episode together. It's something that I've been cooking up for a couple months.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to continue doing is the finishers group Tuesday nights, which we've talked about. I currently have an idea, which actually I could use your help on. I'd like to record a collection of covers of like really classic, positive, optimistic songs.
Cool.
But put this like dark kind of a arrangement undercurrent with it. So I recently did that with the song What a Wonderful World. Cool. And I posted on Instagram a couple days ago. I had this intro where it was like moving back and forth between like a 1 chord and like a minor 4 chord and like I changed the melody of the hook a little bit, and I made the bridge this like kind of tensiony thing, and I was really happy with how it turned out.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, it would be cool to put out a collection of these, but I've been finding it really difficult to
find positive songs.
Yeah, come up with songs that are on that level, that are like like classic like that.
Yeah.
And like really uplifting.
I thought of one song when you said that, and it's not a classic, and it's already like not the brightest song. But the lyrics are really positive. It's a song I love that is about like appreciating some stuff and living in the moment and stuff like that. And the guy is like talking about like everything's going so well it makes me want to cry because like life is so good. But the song doesn't sound like that uplifting. It's just like, you know, but that was the first thing I thought of because there's not a lot of examples. You know, that's a tough one. I would look to like 50s and 60s like pop music maybe. Have you looked there much? Like wall of sound stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was looking at like Everly Brothers tunes today and like Beatles and like James Taylor and stuff, and I'll put together some
50s Brill Building stuff had like a lot of like more upbeat. It's all about like dating and stuff like that, but it's all hopeful and it's all
totally positive,
and you know there's some classics there.
Yeah,
that's cool. Well, if I think of anything, I'll definitely send it your way.
Please do. Yeah. Cool. So that, and I've been like running every day. Yeah. And cool. I've been counting calories for maybe like 6 days or so. So that's fresh and not something that I'm like, it's just like a new thing that I'm trying out.
Like, I do that. I just count really high.
Well, actually that is exactly what I'm doing, is that there are some days where I'll eat over my goal. So right now my goal is 2,200 calories a day,
Cool.
because that's what I have Googled that like male at my height, at my ideal weight, would have every day.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been days where I've gone like 1,000 calories over, but I was writing it down and accepting that.
Gotcha.
So there was no guilt for me of overeating, because it was an informed decision to overeat and to like have that experience.
Totally.
And it becomes a little more scientific. Like it's like, oh, like this is interesting. Oh, like I'm making these decisions here. Like, oh, that's interesting. That's data.
Totally.
So yeah, we'll see how long I keep up with that.
Cool.
But just the general, because there have been times in my life where my body has been like where I have wanted it to be, but I've always been on a diet that I didn't like. It wasn't like a long-term diet, basically.
I got you. Yeah.
So hopefully with this, like aiming for 2,200 calories, my thinking is that my ideal body shape, I would get there in like 3 months, but then I would get there without any diet. Like that's just how I am content to eat for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So once my body gets there in 3 months, I can just continue that forever.
You can develop habit around how much you're eating.
Exactly.
I feel you. That's cool. So, have you thought about doing like 21 until you get there? If it's a weight loss thing, going into deficit a bit?
Well, the idea is that,
or like 10%.
22 is the number for the weight that I am not currently yet. So
sure. So okay.
Like
I see you.
Is a deficit for me currently.
Of how much?
Of I think it's like 300.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so you're already in deficit essentially. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mistook what you said at first. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, you're good.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never survived on that for long personally, but I know people that have. My mother lost a ton of weight doing that. It's great.
It's like a bummer way of doing it.
I feel you.
It's not trendy. It's not cool. Yeah, I've tried a lot of different things, and the most success I've ever had with weight loss is cutting out carbs.
Like me too.
Carbs.
Me too. 100%.
You
I feel like a different person on keto. Yeah.
But the thing is that like I'm not yet ready to just commit to that for the rest of my life.
I feel you.
Like it's not sustainable for
That's
me.
The thing is, Lauren and I both feel better than ever when we're on keto.
Yeah.
But we love food.
Totally. Yeah.
We love eating different things and trying different things and going to restaurants and we recognize that that's something that we want to prioritize in our life is like eating cool food and trying different things and cooking at home too. Before the podcast, I just cooked for an hour and
hell yeah,
made a bunch of cool stuff and you know, and it's something we very much value.
Yeah.
But you know, it leads us down bad paths sometimes and we need to be careful with it. And it's something that we're always kind of back and forth on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's wild, man. It's so complicated and there's so many different opinions about all that shit. But
totally.
Basically, like general health stuff. I'm exercising.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pay attention to what I'm putting in my mouth. And I have like a morning routine kind of a thing that I do that has a little bit of like journaling and then music practice stuff and reading books that are helpful for me spiritually. So I'm interested in maintaining that, and I think those are the main things. And then so my lessons have all moved online. And
how's that working for you?
It's interesting. Like I think about 50 or 60% of my students have moved to online, and the rest of them are either not into trying or are holding out, trying it for maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I think the move at this point is to lean into the online lessons and to like
I mean,
advertise and drum
yeah.
up some more
It
students.
depends on the music and the student and the instrument and everything else, but like, I wonder how many of these students will stay online after everything is over, because it's like
Totally.
it makes sense for a lot of people's schedules and a lot of people's
Mm.
lives, and
Mm.
you know, even if you're at 90% of what you can give a student, you know, that what you do in person, you know, for a lot of people they'll
Totally.
take it. I think, you know,
Yeah.
that's a big, you know, that's a big thing.
Yeah,
And
man.
if you can get students that aren't going to miss lessons for stupid crap, you know,
Totally.
yeah, that's big.
And the market size goes from, you know, everyone that I'm in driving distance to everyone who has an internet connection.
Totally, which is
So
everyone. Yeah.
exactly. Well,
Almost everyone. Yeah, I tell you.
but
Yeah.
so yeah, between all that stuff, I've been keeping myself pretty busy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Quarantine life, bro.
Dude, that's it, man. I feel like I'm pleasantly surprised with how productive I've been.
Hell yeah.
I feel like other people are too. Some people, you know,
Fuck yeah.
especially because this is kind of, you know, I don't know. The elements of this are very far away from being a vacation, very, very far away from being planned.
Yeah.
You know, that I think a lot of people are just like, well, shoot, like all the energy I had expecting to go to work next week is now funneled into my creative, or funneled into my whatever personal growth.
Dude, you're right.
You know?
It's a new paradigm, because
Yeah.
when you plan for a vacation,
Yeah.
you anticipate not getting any work done.
Yes.
But then
I look forward to it.
yeah, this whole quarantine
Yes.
thing, none
Yeah.
of us have ever experienced this.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so wild,
So
dude.
all the energy I was putting into selling hats last week
Yeah.
is now into mandolin, and is into other things. And, you know,
Hell yeah.
yeah, it's cool. I think it's really cool.
Fuck
I mean,
yeah, man.
like, I think that element is cool.
Yeah.
In the face of a bunch of crap, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, man.
You know what we should do, regardless of your podcast or not,
Totally.
But we should record it for posterity. Is we should talk again at the end of the lockdown.
Oh, dude, yeah, let's do fucking another podcast.
We should do it again, and all the stuff
more.
that we talked about, we'll see where we were, you know, and where we are.
Down. I'm so down.
Very cool.
I'm so down. It'll either be for my podcast or it'll be
for mine.
For your podcast.
I love it. I love it, man. Ooh. I love it. Trust me. The number of times I've thought about starting a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever, I'll work on it, man. And you're kicking me in the butt, and I appreciate it.
Well, dude, the thing about the Zoom shit is I literally, like, I made the meeting. Yeah. And then I pressed a little button that says record. Yeah. And then that's it. I'll do a little intro that's like,
so easy.
Hey, my buddy Bryan.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the easiest thing ever.
That's super cool, man. Yeah.
It's so fun.
Totally. So fun. Oh yeah. We're hanging, man.
I mean,
the most social I've been in 4 days.
Hell yeah. I'm happy to hear it. Dude, one of the last things I want to ask you about is you happen to be wearing the neon skyline.
Oh yeah.
Right now. I'm curious to hear how you're feeling about that record these days. Has it have you developed a relationship with it at all?
The record I was already getting into, but hadn't gotten as into as I am now as time goes. But yeah, man, I mean, it's so funny because it's not a top 10 record for me of all time.
I hear you. Yeah.
But that concert was absolutely at least top 2 or 3 for me of all time. It was one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life, if not the best. And it was really, really, really made me think about some stuff in a cool way. Like, it was inspiring, and it was moving in various ways and things like that. It was just a cool thing. But the record is great. It's really good, but there's no hit song on there. I feel like definitely The Party is like a stronger record as far as like individual tunes.
Totally.
And maybe in general, but it doesn't matter when the musicianship is so high. That's something I'm trying to remind myself of too, is if you make good music, it doesn't matter if there's not a hit or if there's not a whatever, or there's not a banger or, whatever. It doesn't matter because, good music is good music. And no one tune stands out to me, and no moment is like going to blow my top off, but it's like really good. So I appreciate it, and I've been listening to other stuff more recently, to be honest, but that night is fresh in my memory for sure. Like,
what were some of the things that you were inspired by, or some of the lessons you were thinking through with that show?
With the show, the band was just so tight. That was the first one, and so dynamic in such a large room. I have not played a lot of 1,000 cap rooms. I got to play a little bit of like bigger rooms with the Tragic Thrills when I played in that band, but we were mostly at like 500-600 cap, and we hadn't really made the jump to 1,000 cap or anything.
Totally.
And then I played like the Latin Grammys a few years ago, and that was like 25K. And there's like, I haven't done a lot in the middle. You know what I mean? 1,000 cap room, 1,200 cap room, whatever that is. I don't know that he had played a lot of those either. It seemed like he hadn't. But that band they held us all in the palm of their hands, and they were so dynamic, and I just really, really, really felt like they controlled the whole night. I felt like they were so tight. I felt like they were so musical, and it seemed fresh to them. They seemed to be enjoying themselves, but not in an over-the-top way. They were just, I felt like they were happy to have the job that they had. Totally. That's a weird thing to say, but it really felt like they were appreciating the music and honoring the music from start to finish. They weren't playing anything mindlessly. The drummer, for me, it was some of the best drumming I've ever heard in my life. It reminded me of Matt Chamberlain. In a way, when I heard Matt Chamberlain play with Meldau and LA Phil, and that was cool.
Hell yeah.
That was at Walt Disney Concert Hall. Very different room, very different music too, of course, but just the musicality there of like being a rock drummer, but like, and still having that spirit, but playing so quietly at times, and so big in other moments, but often big in a controlled way. I don't know. There were so many elements to that. And then a personal element for me was that just I hadn't been out with Lauren a lot in shows in LA yet, and so she had a blast, and like that's so cool to me. And so the whole night was great, in that way. But it was, musically, it was just, it did a lot for me. And his voice is great and so strong live.
Dude, his voice live blew me away, man.
That's the thing. He just like came out and did it. And Molly Sarway was amazing to start and had a solo song. Like that was dope. I thought that was really cool to end the set with just unaccompanied voice.
Yeah, totally.
I just thought that was really cool. So the whole night, man, it was cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hell.
Was it impactful to you, like that on that level? Like you seemed less enthusiastic about it than I was, maybe, but I couldn't really tell in the moment.
It's true. I think that I have been more impacted by the record than the show, so cool. Maybe I've had the opposite experience.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like I told you at the show, I thought the drummer was great, but I also
you want more.
I missed some of the sonic elements. Like I felt like he just was not hitting the drums at certain times. He was not hitting the drums loud enough for me to hear the whole character of the drum kit.
Gotcha.
Which I was hungry for. The thing that I was really impressed with Andy Schaaf is that he played that entire concert as if he was just playing to 15 people.
It totally did not feel like a 1,200 person room. It felt like 12 people. Yeah, I feel you 100%.
Incredible. Like the fact
Yeah.
that I was really, really impressed by that, and I had never seen a concert like that before, where someone was playing to such a huge room,
Yes.
but doing so in a way where, as if it was just a small crowd. It was an interesting take on the situation, and it was an option that I didn't realize was available.
Yeah.
So like front people fronting a band.
Yeah.
So I kind of I stored that away in my memory banks.
Yeah.
But I fucking loved it, man.
Yeah.
I love seeing you. I loved running into a bunch of friends.
Oh, it was fun.
It was wild. I knew so many people there, and just like getting on Instagram and seeing everybody's stories afterwards. It's like, oh, this person was there, and this.
Oh, we looked up everything we could look up. Yeah, we looked up Twitter and Instagram, and we just wanted to live in that moment for a minute longer. You know, it was so good.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. That was Lauren and I seriously talked about getting up to Sacramento to hear him 2 nights later.
Hell yeah.
Like we literally were like, can you call out of work? Like, can we do this? And then we didn't pull the trigger, but man, it was so good. Yeah.
So dope. Dude, and we were sitting there looking at the calendar, stoked about all those shows that
are canceled. 100%. Well, I mean, the guy that I met that night, who I added on Instagram, I've forgotten his name, who went to pizza with us. What's his name?
Oh, John.
John.
He's
super cool guy.
He's in the Tuesday night group.
Oh, cool. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, cool. I like that dude a lot. And we hung out with him afterwards for a while.
He said so. You guys were going to go to the baseball game.
We were going to go to baseball games. They're not going to even happen this year. We were talking all excitedly about it. That would have been next week, the opening day. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, man. Nuts.
Dude, our world is forever changed.
For real.
Yeah. Crazy shit, man.
Totally, man.
Dude, this has been the fucking coolest conversation.
This has been fun, man. Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with me, man.
Likewise, man.
Before we sign off, is there anything that you'd like the internet world to know? Any words of wisdom for us?
Words of wisdom. No, I don't have wisdom, but
that's not true.
Trying to get some. I'm in an endless pursuit to get some. I'll get a tiny little bit of it someday, and then I'll drop dead the next day. That'll be it. That'll be it for me. Hopefully, when I'm old, we'll see.
I hear you.
But I hope everyone's happy, and I hope everyone is paying attention to what's going on.
Totally.
And I hope everyone is being thoughtful about who is being affected, even in ways that you're not being affected. I hope you are thinking about those who are, and at very least keeping them in your thoughts, but doing what you can to support the people that need support and the organizations that need support, and paying attention to who is helping and who is not, so that when we reconvene as a society after this is over, we can support those who supported in times of need, and not support those who didn't.
I hear you.
Because we got to do something in 2020 to help people that are in different living situations than the ultra rich, who are the only ones we usually like to help. So I hope that is something that comes of this.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, as you know from being on the podcast before, I got this note for you, bro.
I got you.
So when we did it in person, I gave you a physical note. But now that we're here on the internet, I got to give you a virtual note.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this?
Oh my gosh. You have a whole setup.
You got to read it out loud, bro. Read it out loud for the podcast.
Dear Bryan, whenever I talk to you, I can count on 3 things. I'm going to learn something new, I'm going to laugh a lot, and I'm going to ask myself why we don't talk more often. So thankful to have a friend in you, my man. But ellipsis, want to keep being friends? Yes, Eric, I would like to keep being friends.
So on Zoom, there is an option for you to annotate it. So you can actually,
Oh, I see this.
Yeah, you can actually
Ooh.
pick your pencil or highlighter, whatever, and annotate the virtual notes.
Can I select this? Will that work? Okay. Is that going to let me do this? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Sorry for my extra dots here.
Strong dot.
Whoa.
Dot game strong.
Oh my gosh, I'm screwing this whole thing up.
You're good, dude. You're good.
Oh, jeez.
Have fun with it, bro.
Yes. I can't get to that box, so I'm going to put that there.
So you have to do the arrow?
So I'm going to do an X there for yes.
That's so funny. Wait.
There you go.
Is it because you're on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, and the pencil goes over the yes box.
Oh, no. So I should maybe have
I don't think I can access it another way.
Damn.
Maybe I can just... Oh, I moved it. Never mind. There we go.
But you have to move
You're going to have to tell people about that. Yeah.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just move the boxes more towards the middle.
Cool. But save this exactly how it is, please.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to edit this at all.
That's an imperfect action right there.
Are you kidding me? I love that. I'd print this out and put it on my wall.
Oh, please do.
Well, dude, we don't have to sign off of the call immediately, but let's sign off of podcast land if that's cool with you.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll get to the real stuff.
Exactly. Thanks so much for being on, man.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Fuck yeah.